السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. Let us remember our marhumin, our shuhada around the world, and those mu'mineen who do not have anyone to remember them at these times. I request all of you to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والنار للملحدين والجنة للموحدين، والصلاة والسلام وتحية والإكرام على حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين المنتخبين المظلومين، واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم ومنكري فضائلهم من ليلتنا هذه إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد, dear viewers, tonight, inshallah, we have an important theme to discuss. But before that, I would like to thank each and every one who, who came forward to help uh, weak people in our community, who donated so that there will be a little help for those people who are suffering because of this pandemic. And I'm helpful to those volunteers as well who came forward, and they are just managing each and everything. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a great reward for all of them. And one more thing that I would like to add is that, when the management at the center, when they ask for the donations, that really does not mean that we have to donate in hundreds and thousands. For example, if each and every member of our community, I understand that our community is very small, but if each and every individual who earns, if they will, each one of them will, let's say, for example, donate $10, $20, $30, but when all of them will donate, it will make a, big amount. So I hope that people will come forward more and they will donate more and more for this great cause. Second thing, as you are seeing that we have changed the timings and we changed it to 9 p.m. It's because some people, they fast during these days, and in order that they should get enough time to pray and to do iftar, we start it by 9 p.m. Now it depends upon all of you that if you want me to start the program before Maghrib and finish it, at the time of Maghrib, Salatul Maghrib, or this time is okay until Ramadan, because Ramadan we will inshallah do it before Maghrib. So let's go to tonight's topic. You know, we do not have any other option. We cannot run away from discussing this COVID 19. However, inshallah, I will just discuss tonight and the next Saturday. There are some discussions, which have been triggered within the Muslims because of this COVID 19. So I know this as well, that you have been listening to COVID-19 24/7 through the news channels and through the newspapers. So it is like a kind of like boring thing to listen to it again and again. But in reality, we will not, that is something different. We will talk about the Islamic perception. What does it through? We will just analyze it through that Islamic lens. So, as I said, that there were certain discussions triggered within Muslims because of this COVID-19. So, there are basically three questions that we will be, inshallah, answering, try to answer basically. The first one is COVID-19 the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on his creation? The second one is that, is this the time of zuhur of our Imam alayhi salatu wasalam? And is this the end of this world? And the third one, our duties during this pandemic. What are our duties? What should we do? Uh, 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 Tonight, inshallah, I will be brief and precise, and I will, inshallah, answer the first question, and other two questions I will leave them for next Saturday. So the first question has different dimensions and different aspects. Before we get to the conclusion, there are certain points which we need to understand and discuss. The first thing, that usually in any in any natural disaster, it is obvious that these things, they come up. The first thing that comes into everyone's mind is, that is God unjust? Is he unjust towards his creation? Is it him who is bringing all those catastrophic catastrophic tragedies or incidents to his creation? So the first question, the first aspect of this question, this seems to be fallacy. There are reasons for that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Holy Quran, وَلِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. To Allah belongs the kingdom of the heavens and the earth. وَاللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. And he has power over each and everything. Very clear for all of us, this ayah of Surah Al Imran 189, and there are other ayat in the same way as well. Maybe there might be like different wording in those ayat. This is what we believe, what every Muslim believes. And we believe that it is God who created us. We believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides our sustenance. We believe that he brought us to this world. We believe that he gave us bounties, whatever we have in our life, right? And obviously all Abrahamic religions, they believe the same. So now, this fallacy that God is unjust to his creation, as I mentioned, in order to understand and answer this question, we have to know the first thing, that what does injustice mean? Injustice, as we know, let us take it, violating someone's rights. And I will give you a clear example of this so that we understand it. For example, someone who lives in the United States and pays his taxes here, but after retirement, he abruptly decides to leave the country and go to his own homeland. For example, let's say to Pakistan or to Iraq. Will this person ever hope that he will get his social security from the government of Iraq or Pakistan or India? He should never believe that, and he should never have such a hope. Why? Because he paid his taxes in the United States, and this government, the government of United States, they owe him, not the government of Pakistan or Iraq, where he never paid his taxes. So he cannot make this claim that the Pakistani government, for example, is being unjust to me. He cannot say that they are doing injustice to me. Or, for example, let us say a rich man helps different poor people with different amounts of money. Okay, someone who has got the lesser amount, can he ever say that this rich man was unjust to me? He cannot make such a claim. Rather, he was not unjust, he was kind and merciful to him. The same case is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. The problem emerges from here when we start comparing ourselves to others. For example, if let's say I draw, let us say, 4,000 a month, okay? But if I will compare myself to someone who draws 10 grand a month, what I will start thinking? I will start thinking that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took away 5 grand from my salary. No, I should not compare here. He deserved 10, I deserved 4, this person deserved 3, that person deserved 2. Allah did not take it away from us. Rather, He was the reason that that money was given to us. We do not owe anything. Allah does not owe anything to us. We owe everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي لَا تُحْصُوهَا, that if you were supposed to count the ni'mah, the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His favors, it is impossible for you to number them. They're countless. You cannot count His ni'mah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has showered you with. So we cannot claim that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is being unjust, or He's being al-a'yadu billah, an oppressor towards us. For example, if someone passes away or someone dies, right? So He does not owe us anything. We owe Him each and everything. He's our Malik. Whenever He wants to take us, He can take us. So this is a fallacy, because there should not be any question like that. So it is Him who has given us everything. So we cannot claim such a thing, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unjust towards us. Second thing, that this world and its reality, we have to understand that. What is the goal of this world? What is the goal of our life? The goal of our life is in the hereafter, not here in this world. This world is Darul Mamar, that we have a transit that we have to pass, not Darul Maqar. We will not be living here, for 1,000 years. We have to go sooner or later. We have to leave this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Holy Quran, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ, that it is Him who created maut and hayat, the death and the life, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا, so that He may test you and ascertain who is better in his conduct. That is why we have been created. That is why death and life has been created, in order to reach to that objective and to achieve that goal, which is in the hereafter. For example, if someone was supposed to live in this world, that was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explicitly mentions to him, "Innaka mayyitun wa innahum mayyitun," that, O Prophet, you will pass away from this world and they will die as well. No one is supposed to live in this world. Or kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut, that every soul shall taste death. Wa innama tuwaffawna ajurakum yawm al-qiyamah, but you will be rewarded when? On the day of resurrection. There will be the full reward. That is the original life, as I mentioned before as well the other day. So we have to take this point, we have to consider this point as well, that this world, we do not belong to this world. This is only Darul Mamar. We have to leave this world sooner or later. Third thing, which has a huge role to play in this COVID-19 is the causality. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this world with such a mechanism that every incident that takes place in this world has a cause and an effect. So you will not find anything in this world that does not have causality in it, that does not have cause and an effect, right? This is how this world works. This is how this mechanism is. So now about this COVID-19, the researchers are yet to ascertain, to find out why and how there was this outbreak. There are certain probabilities. One, there are some people who say that, for example, it was on purpose. There are some people who claim that it came out of that laboratory in Wuhan that they have there for those viruses. It was like accidental. It was an accident and it came out. Someone contracted and later on he was the reason to spread it. And there are some other people who claim that it came from the that wet market of Wuhan. In any case, there is a cause, and if this is the cause, and I believe that this should be the cause, right? Then it's man-made. It is us who were the reasons behind this outbreak, not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Definitely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send it from the skies so that it kills us. Now, if you want to know whether it is it a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or is it something else, then let us go to the Holy Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in it, he states in the Holy Quran, وَلَوْ يُؤَاخِذُ اللَّهُ النَّاسَ, were Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take humans to task, if he was supposed to take them to task, to punish them, بِمَا كَسَبُوا, for what they have earned, their bad deeds and evil deeds, مَا تَرَكَ عَلَى ظَهْرِهَا دَابَّةً, he would not have leave any living thing on top of this earth, on back of this earth. No one would have been alive. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wrath, when it falls, it takes each and everything. Like we have seen in the Holy Quran mentioned about, for example, Qawm Lut, Qawm Nuh, and all these nations. He takes each and everything. وَلَكِنْ يُؤَخِّرُهُمْ إِلَىٰ أَجَلٍ مُسَمَّى, but he keeps postponing it, deferring it to a specific time. Maybe people will, come back to the right track. So that is wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not this one. Now you see, some absurd statements have been made until today about this COVID-19. And this is very unfortunate. It comes from scholars sometimes who claim to be scholars. For example, in the beginning, we saw in England, one of the scholars said that he made this absurd statement that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished the people of China. Why? Because they were oppressing Muslims. And later on, the same Maulana changed his statement and said now, since it has reached to Iran, they got caught in this. Why? Because they are disrespectful towards the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For example, this was from England. Now go to Pakistan. In Pakistan, people claim that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wrath upon Shias. And later on, they saw that Tablighi Jamaat, the Tablighi group of the Ahl Sunnah brothers, they contracted, as well to COVID-19. And same cases in India as well. Indians, some Hindus, some fanatic Hindus, they claimed that this is Muslims. It's Allah's punishment to Muslims. And later on, they saw that Hindus, are getting infected as well. And believe me, one of the ministers of one of the non-Muslim countries, he claimed that this is a punishment for homosexuals. And after some days, he came out positive himself. No one can claim that this is the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one can claim such a thing. However, we can perceive it as a sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like, for example, about earthquakes, about winds, about storms. We know that there is a cause behind all these things. But at the same time, we count them as the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ayatun, ayatun min ayatillah. And they are it's a sign from signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do I mean by that? Let me read, one of the ayat of the Holy Quran first for you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Al-Ankabut, verse 65, فَإِذَا رَكِبُوا فِي الْفُلْكِ, when they board the ship. This is an example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving. دَعْوُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ, they invoke Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with exclusive faith, with exclusive faith in Him, mukhlis, right? فَلَمَّا نَجَّاهُمْ إِلَى الْبَرِّ, but when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala delivers them to the land, what do? إِذَا هُمْ يُشْرِكُونَ, they forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and start ascribing partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They completely forget Him and start ascribing partners to Him, right? This is, this place, this ship is a place, a sensitive place where a human being is fearful that he might get caught in a storm and he will die. And at this time, he remembers the only hope he has, his creator, his Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives an example as well. So for us, this pandemic can be a reminder, that there is Lord, your Rabb is there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there. There is, one of the higher beings who is managing each and everything, for you. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions again in the Holy Quran, كَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى, indeed the man becomes rebellious. And أَرْرَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى, when he sees himself that he does not need, he's without need, he does not need anything, right? When human being becomes arrogant, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends these signs, right? He shows us that there is someone who is more powerful than you. And remember, there are always two sides of one coin, right? For some, this pandemic will be, disastrous, but for others, it can be helpful as well. I'm not saying that this pandemic was good. No, I'm not saying that. But, for example, I will give an example. For example, it rains. It rains hard. A person who does not drive safely, he might end up crashing his car, right? But at the same time, if you will see a farmer in the same city, he will be happy with that rain. One will perceive that as a rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as mercy of Lord, and he will be happy, like farmer. But the driver, he will say this was something, something evil for me, because I ended up in crashing my car. So a coin has always two sides. And through this pandemic, we got so many things to learn. The first thing that we got to learn is that our countries, the political leaders, so-called political leaders, they are fully equipped. They are fully equipped to kill people, right? Our countries around the world, all countries, they are militarily well equipped. They have weapons and they purchase weapons every year, right? They spend squander money on that, and they have not left even a single stone unturned for killing other human beings. But at the same time, they have done nothing to save human lives. Today we see that people, or there are no ventilators, neither in the developed countries, and leave those countries alone which are underdeveloped. So we learn that we have to ask, and we keep asking our representatives to the governments, what are you doing? Where is our tax money? Where does that go? Right? This is the first thing that we learned from this pandemic. Second thing, it is a huge lesson for those tyrants who put sanctions on other weak nations and other countries. Now, people today, the governments are really fighting for masks, right? So, this is a huge lesson for them to learn that how hard it can be for other people when they do not get medicines on time. And there are other tyrants as well in this world, as we saw in Kashmir as well. Complete lockdown for 6 months, for more than 6 months, right? Now they have tasted, their own medicine. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He shows you, He makes you to learn, He makes you to realize what you have done with your own hands to other nations, to other weak nations. Now you see yourself what's going on and how hard is it to live with that lockdown. Other thing, that there were so many parents, there were so many elders longing and craving their children, but their children did not have enough time to sit with their parents, to sit with their elders, right? But this lockdown, this self isolation, it gave them enough time, right, to sit with them, to talk to them, you know. So this is ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them. There are thousands. Now let us go to other thing. We say in mantiq, we say in logic, al-ashya tu'arafu bi-adadadiha, that everything is known through its opposite side, through its opposite thing. For example, people will not know the value of money and wealth but through poverty, right? So in order to understand and to value the ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what He has given us, for example, let us say the social gatherings, our social gatherings. Muslims, they have their social gatherings, for example, say masajid, for example, salatul jama'ah, for example, majalis, for example, these lectures where we see each other, where we share our happiness and our grief. But today we are just locked down at our houses. We cannot go out, we cannot see each other. So in order we understand the ni'mat, that ni'mat and the value of the ni'mat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches lessons sometimes. This is a huge lesson for us to understand the ni'mat of that social gathering, the other ni'mat as well. So when we have it in abundance, when there is Salatul Jamaat is going on every week or every day, people take it very lightly. They say, oh, I will go next week, inshallah. I will go this week. I will go this Jummah. I will go that Jummah. We keep postponing it. But today we understand that how valuable that gathering was. Another thing, this pandemic might emerge and create the sense of caring and sharing among human beings. We always teach our children, right, to share and care. Yet, us as elders, we do not practice that law. We do not practice that, great thing. It is this COVID-19. Post COVID-19 might change the whole world. And we have got so many lessons to learn from it. And at the same time, the rich and arrogant people, they will come to realize that money does not avail at each and every step of life. It is not enough. There is something, beyond that money, which is more important. Because people usually, when they start earning, they forget each and everything. 24/7 busy in earning, right? They forget their parents, they forget their wives, they forget their children, they forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on top. They forget their friends, they forget their neighbors. So 24/7 is just earning. They come, they sleep because they have to go to the work in the morning. They are tired when they come back. Okay, no time at all. But that money, it does not always avail. There are other things important in our life, which give us tranquility and peace. This can be the ni'mat and rahmat of this, which came through this COVID-19, and people will learn the importance of those relations and other things in their life. Yet, there is one more bigger thing that is always for mu'mineen to learn, that this pandemic, rather, it's for all human beings around the globe. This pandemic may keep us ready and equipped for another natural disasters to face. Because until now, my I was just today I was talking to my father. He said that when my grandfather, when he used to finish his majalis, then he would pray, oh Allah, just we seek refuge to you from drought and these epidemics and pandemics, as qahtu waba. Okay, but my dad was saying that now people had completely forgotten this. People wouldn't pray for all these natural disasters, right? So this disaster, this pandemic that that we are seeing right now, it might keep us, it might prepare us for another disasters, natural disasters, which are yet to come in this world. We never know what is going to happen. What is the next step? What will happen? Will there be a natural disaster, an earthquake, a storm, or an epidemic or pandemic or something like that? So this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes he prepares us. Now, let me conclude this with one of the hadiths of Al-Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam says that, look, when catastrophes, when they fall, they befall both the good people and the bad people. They do not discriminate between these two groups. For good people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes them to learn patience. Yeah. And makes them to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But for bad people, yes, it is a punishment, nothing more than that. So, and there can be one more reason, that is tathir. Tathir means to purify. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whenever any catastrophe befalls a mu'min, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purifies him in this world before he leaves to another world. Okay, he purifies him in this world, and he takes his sins away. Yet he goes to this world and he meets his Lord without sins. So there are many reasons for this. So we now take this conclusion that this cannot be deemed as a punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rather a sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds his servants, and a great admonishment for all of us. Inshallah, I will see you on Thursday, and please let me know if this time is okay, 9 p.m., or shall we start before Maghrib. You can text me through, or WhatsApp me. I'm at your service. Please do not forget your each other whilst you pray, and do not forget me as well. في أمان الله والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.